Hey everyone, thanks for your support in 2024. We have a lot of cool stuff coming in 2025, and here are some of the things you can look forward to as we move into next year. In the lead up to The Mandalorian and Grogu in 2026, we'll be starting a full series rewatch of both The Mandalorian and The Book of Boba Fett on exploring hyperspace lanes beginning in October. You can also expect a rewatch of Andor, and we will have reviews of every episode of Andor and the rest of the Skeleton Crew as those come out. Josie will be returning as we continue to rank every Star Wars thing released ever. Reviews of every episode of every Marvel Disney Plus show, including Your Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man, The Eyes of Wakanda, Wonder Man, Ironheart, Daredevil Born Again, and Marvel Zombies, the day after each episode releases, will be available on Beware of Spoilers. We'll be having special event podcasts on 30-minute reviews for the Academy Awards, our 2024 year in review in early January, ranking all of Phase 5 of the MCU after Fantastic Four First Steps comes out, and our 10th anniversary special. Once we complete our rankings of all the Pokemon games on the backlog files, we'll be moving on to Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy. Over on the YouTube channel, you can join in for playthroughs of Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, Pokemon White, Pokemon Mystery Dungeon Blue Rescue Team, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, Mario Golf Toadstool Tour, Sonic Adventure 2, LEGO Racers 2, LEGO Star Wars The Complete Saga, and SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom. Want to keep on top of all the new things we have coming? Subscribe at mwpnews.com, subscribe on YouTube at youtube.com/@mwpnews, or subscribe to Beware of Spoilers, 30-minute reviews, exploring hyperspace lanes, and the backlog files on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. Again, thank you for your support. Good morning and welcome to Exploring Whatever Hyperspace Lanes. I am Adam, and today we're here to talk about, I finally got it right on the first try. Today we're here to talk about the 6th episode of Skeleton Crew. Yeah, that sounds right. This is episode 6 because there's 2 left. And honestly, this episode was way overdue. We needed to see these characters. Oh, Happy New Year, by the way. We needed to see these characters interact in ways that are not the way we've seen up until this point. Because, the big issue that I've had with this show, and this episode kind of articulated it to me in a very clear and concise way. The big issue was, it felt like from the end of episode 2 through now, this is the adventures of Jod and his, what's it called? And his group of feral children. His flock of feral children. And he's got, he's moving through the galaxy with and trying to get place to place in one piece. We don't really get to see them, branch out in any meaningful way. And do anything different. And then that's the thing, is that it's the idea that now we have the kids without Jod and not on at Atten, we get to see them actually have to fend for themselves. And I think this episode does a great job of kind of, playing with that. This idea that these kids clearly are in over their heads, and clearly they were only getting as hard as they were because Jod was there, but they have developed some skills. They have something now that's not just them, kind of hoping they can get through, and lucking out. And I think the other really smart thing they did this episode was break them up into teams that are not the ones we always see. Which is when we're introduced to KB and Fern. KB and Fern are best friends, and then you have Neil and, I forget the other kid's name, but they're also best friends. So splitting them up is a really good way to really set these kids into a place of vulnerability. I think KB has the most dialogue she's had the entire show. I would say she probably talks more in this episode than she does the entire rest of the time, which is interesting because, episode 2 or episode 3, they set up that she has some disability, but they haven't really explained what it was ever, and then it's she's partially she's an android, so she needs, I don't think it's, I think cyborg is probably closer to what it is. but she's more of a cyborg. She's got a lot of biometric enhancements that are that like need to be kept a certain way, and they're starting to corrode. So she's starting to like lose like control of her body. And I think that all is kind of handled really, interestingly, and then putting the other kid whose name I'm forgetting, the main character. It's not Neil. Neil is the little elephant dude. But putting her with him and having him need to actually solve a problem is a good way to do it. And having them with the crabs. And that was my big complaint with the episode, is the fucking crab thing at the end, where it's like, it's that crab shit. It reminded me of the crab from Moana, where it's like, it just got a bunch of garbage on it. And I was like, oh, we followed the crabs are trying to eat us, and we walked right into that trap. That was stupid. But, like, the big crab moves with no sense of urgency or anything, and the little crabs don't try to, like, keep them kind of contained in any sense. So it just kind of feels like a very weird up to stakes, but not really, for the entire, like, last little bit of that episode. And then the other thing that I was kind of, not thrilled about was, like, the way they portray the pirates that originally mutinied against Jod and then threw him away, and then the kids accidentally rescue him and all of that. Like, I think his name is Jod. Jude Law. We'll just call him Jude Law, because that's all he is. So, that's who plays him. And this idea that, like, they're like, well, okay, we held a kangaroo court trial, and you're guilty, we're going to shoot you out the airlock. He's like, wait, I get to have equal time now to talk. And it's like, okay, and I get what's going on here. I think this is clearly meant to be he's doing a Jedi mind trick. Because, like, that's the only way that I can logically, like, make peace with what happens in that scene, is that it's like, oh, he's just using the mind trick on them. Like, maybe he doesn't know it, but he's using the mind trick. Because he can use the Force, so it's like, why wouldn't he be able to do that? And it's this idea that, like, he is, he's explaining them, like, look, I have the coordinates to Ad-Atten. We can go to Ad-Atten, we can get these Old Republic credits off of Ad-Atten. And it's like, there are some pretty fucking ridiculous leaps of logic that happen there. And the other question I have is, what is the value of Old Republic currency in this time period? Because, like, again, I've talked about this before, and I feel like this is something that's, like, not addressed enough. Is like, why is Old Republic currency so sought after in this world? Because, like, that's the thing, is that it's like, we've seen before, like in The Mandalorian, it's like, oh, we have Mon Cal credits, we have, New Republic credits, we have Imperial credits, and all of these things are kind of fighting for the same airspace. But, like, very clearly in the universe, we've seen, oh, the Old Republic credits were very quickly traded out for New Republic credits. So, like, what's the value of the Old Republic credit? Is it like it was made on, like, actual gold, or it's like what it is actually valuable? But, like, apparently all these pirates have real use for Old Republic credits, and I'm like, it would be like going into a, like a bank with, like, Confederate currency almost, or like going in with, like, lira or marks or something like that, where it's like, this isn't the currency we use anymore. Like, we use, like, we use the euro now. Like, what the fuck you want me to do with this? Like, it's one of those things where it's like, why is that? I'm just kind of confused. Like, that's the one thing I really need them to lay out. Like, why is the Old Republic currency so important in this period where there's 15 other currencies in play, none of which are the Old Republic currency? Is it, like, a secret that, like, everyone just accepts Old Republic currency? Like, and it's like, because, like, that's the thing, is that it's like, it's not like the, what's it called, the Empire, like, we're just like, oh, well, we'll phase it out slowly. It was like, no, day one, it's like, turn in your Old Republic credits, and now, like, is it just a collector's item? And in which case, if you find the mint, you're going to flood the market, it has no value then. Like, the whole situation is kind of weird. And the other thing is, too, it's like, presumably, if they're minting physical currency, there's some kind of date stamp to it. like, people wouldn't insist, oh, this is probably fake because it's dated, like, today, and it's, like, the Old Republic hasn't existed in, like, you know, at this point, like, what, like, 25 years? Like, it's a questionable choice. Like, it's a really weird thing to have at the center of this show. It's like, why is that where they're putting all their eggs into why this is so valuable? Like, unless it is made out of something else, and in which case, like, all right, fine. But again, I'm just kind of like, what? But explain that then. Like, no, Old Republic currency is made out of this thing, and this thing is very valuable, and all of that. Or it's like, even if it's Old Republic currency made out of Beskar, I mean, I know that wouldn't be the case, but it's like, even if they made up some shit like that, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, at least now we know why there's value to this. Because, like, that's the thing, too, is that it's like, and for them to be like, you know, well, I found AT-AT, he's like, well, I found AT-AT, and I can take it to AT-AT, and that's where they're making all this Old Republic currency, and it's like, okay, yeah, but, like, do we believe this guy? Like, is there any reason that we should believe this guy? Like, he's lied to us before. He's led us into bad situations before. Like, why should we believe him now? I don't know. The whole thing's kind of weird. But we'll wrap up there for today. And until our next episode, have a great rest of your week.